4 wasn't meant to be difficult, okay? Like I gave that one that was intention, I knew was going to be difficult for you guys, okay? Let's, one that should not be too difficult should have been D, E, and F, okay? So this, our first warm-up there is like D, E, and F from last night. It says warm-up. Let's find the intersection. Of, was it y equals 2x plus 3? And y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. Okay, first of all, let's ask, can I get a brave volunteer to translate some math words into English word? What does intersection mean? What does that mean? Nick, go ahead. Where the 2 lines cross, okay? So we're going to draw both of these on the same graph, and hopefully they are going to actually cross at a nice point. Okay, these are already beautifully in the slope and y-intercept mode, which is nice, okay? Well, I'm going to pick on you. What's the slope of the first graph going to be? Good. Okay, if you remember, Molly, from grade 9 or earlier in this course, 2/1, very good, okay. All right, Derek, what does a rise of 2 mean?
2 up.
Good. And what does a run of 1 mean?
1 to the right.
Good. And again, to help you remember that, right, think of like how your axes go, right, where like positives go up and negatives go down, positives this way, negative that way. All right, Jenna, what's the y-intercept to the top one, please? Oh, careful. It's right at the bottom. Okay, yeah, you look at the other one, okay? So that's going to be the first point on the graph, 0 and 3. So all we're going to do for this is we're just going to set this up twice. Oh my goodness. Y-intercept and slope, okay, and draw it on the graph, and we'll do that for both lines. We'll hopefully they'll intersect at some point. Caleb, what's the slope for the second graph, which we'll do in red? Great. What does the slope of negative 1/2 mean?
Up 1, and then is it down to the right 2?
Now careful here. We said up 1.
Oh wait, no, down.
Good.
Down
Okay.
and then right 2.
Good. Great. Okay, you can see negative slope means going down. So. All right, Cassidy, what's the y-intercept for the second one, please?
The second?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to do this one very, very quickly here right now. Are there any questions over where those 10 things came from? Okay, hopefully this should be all good, okay? So all we're going to do is graph them. This should have been like most of the work from last night, okay? Even the triangle question that was difficult, it was just 3 lines that were like this. We had to find the intersect 3 times, okay? But anyway, we'll go from this. All right, so let's go for now, if I can, draw my graph. So I have to do 0 and negative 2 and 0 and 3. Of course, I'm going to do my ruler down here. Somebody else was asking me this morning about when you do an L graph and when you do a cross graph. When you do an L graph, and why would I ever use an L graph? What's an L graph used for? Yeah, when there's like no negatives go in there. Okay. So for this one here, there's definitely positives, there's definite negative. It's like a Y because I'm not supposed to speak properly. When you deal with something like sales or money and those types of questions, like you can't sell a negative quantity, right? So it's gonna go like that. All right. So I'm gonna put on here, make this as nice as I can. So 0. Let's make this as nice as I can. All right. So the way I'm going to graph this is I'm going to start. Actually, I'm going to get Alyssa to tell me. Alyssa, how am I going to graph that first graph, please?
Start on the line.
Okay, good. So my first point's going to be here, I hope.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen after that?
And you go up to the 1.
Okay. And then I'm just going to connect the dots there. Actually, where am I? Yeah, I'll draw it. We're okay on that? We're good? Okay. Just so you know, when your test comes, this will be the type of equation that you're required to, I'll make this nice and big if I can. About here, what I'm going to do. This will be the type of equation, because I don't quite know where the intersection's going to be. This is what you'll have to graph this difficulty on your test. Okay, anything messy like number 4, I'll let you use algebra 4, all right? So, but we'll take it up right there just to show. Okay, so here we go. By the way, if there's questions here, this is where you guys should copy them at me at this point. Again, you guys are all masters of graph. So, all right, so there's that, and I'll put my equation down there. That's y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, so then I'll start at 0 and negative 2. And it's going to go with my first point, down 1, right 2. Okay. So I'm going to draw with my ruler here, and actually this will work out nicely. Let's make the intersection is going to be at negative 2 and negative 1. So don't confirm that for me? That's what it is for everybody else? Okay, good. No, I'm going to pick on you. What do you notice with these two lines? Do you notice anything with them? They are exactly perpendicular. Other than what does perpendicular mean as far as the equation go, Noah? And then what does it mean as far as the graph?
In the equation means that the slopes are opposite and like
Yeah, good. Okay.
the graph means that they intersect at 90 degrees.
Very good. And if you look at this graph, if you did a nice job on your graph, hopefully you saw that, right? That this is a perfect 90-degree angle. I'll get out of the way here. This will be a perfect 90-degree angle. Okay. Which is cool. Okay, so this is y equals 1/2, or negative 1/2 x minus 2. Okay. All right, most people saw someone looks like a right angle on their pages. Yes. This is a little bit difficult to get on your test with the intersection. Okay, so we say find the solution. The actual solution is the point of intersection is negative 2, negative 1. Okay, that would be your intersection. Okay. Sort of okay? Yeah, Jen, ask away.
Is there any time that we can do, like, instead of graphing, maybe like a T-chart for both of the equations that we get and do like differences kind of thing?
You could, but I'm sure I have a much faster way today. Okay, right. I just wanted to start you off by intersections with graphing so you can sort of get a visual look of how things are going to go. But as you can see from number 4 last night, like that takes a huge amount of time, right? Like number 4 was like hideous, even for me to graph. I was sitting with Alistair at lunch yesterday, and I was sort of shaking my head as we were going through that question because it was I'll admit, it was awful to graph, right? Those two were poor. Well, maybe not for me, it was awful to graph. Okay. Let's do number 4 here quickly. Can I borrow somebody's textbook? Pass it. Thank you. Okay. So this is on page 26. Okay. Okay, so it says here, Alex needs to rent a minivan for a week to take his band on tour. Easy Vans charges $230 plus 10 cents per kilometer. Cars for all seasons charges $150 plus 22 cents per kilometer. All right, Lindsay, can you get what are your unknowns in this case going to be? What's your last statement? Yeah. Now, if you did this with different variables, that's fine. I use y and x, so I'm going to graph this. So x will go here, y will go here. If you want to use k and c or whatever, that's fine too, right? All right, so let's get an equation here, please. Go ahead, please. For easy band, do you have the in front of you or not? Oh. So we have to get an equation for easy band. Hey, Jeff, go ahead.
Like the one I did?
Yeah.
Y equals 0.10x.
Yeah. Great. The other one was cars for all seasons, which we'll call C. Can I have an equation for C, please? Yeah, go ahead.
Y equals
Okay, now, that's sort of the main point. And this one was similar to Noah's question yesterday. We were talking with him about writing the two cards for hockey, right? Okay, so that was similar. So I'm hoping most people got that equation. Was there any question on the equation before I keep going? Okay, I'm going to tackle word problems heavy duty on Monday. Today's just going to be algebra, like solving for x and stuff like that. But word problems are heavy duty on Monday. We're coming in. All right, great. Now, here's the thing that's tricky, okay? And I really wasn't clear with this yesterday, and I apologize. If you didn't hear me at lunch, you said they didn't understand where the points were coming from here, all right? Because Bailey and I were talking, Bailey says, well, yeah, clearly you have to count by fives, and she had all this stuff, wonderful math. I'm like, great, wonderful, awesome. But I didn't realize that most of the class was like, didn't understand where all the points came from. So I'm going to take a second to sort of try to explain this a little bit more. Can someone be brave and tell me probably what I'd be counting by for x in this case? You can count by 10, you can count by 2, you can count by 1 if you want to. And what do you count by?
100.
Why'd you count by 100?
Because 100 will equal to 100.
Yeah, right? So if you take a look, there's 2 decimal places counting by 100. So what you can do if you want to, you can in fact make a table to graph this. So this is the thing, since I'm a math teacher, I just counted the numbers, making my head for this. Right? But you can make a table if you need to show it out. Okay? So if you want to, I'm going to just write E and then I'm going to write C. Hopefully fit it all on one page. Okay? What was the intersection? Something like 800 or something like that, wasn't it, Alistair? What did you get for the
6 to 700.
6 or 700? Okay, so you want to do a few of these, okay? But you see what I did here, though, right? I'm just sort of making a little bit of a chart. We'll use our idea of slope here in a minute to show we can get the answers here. Okay, so what I did for this one, I'm going to use E first. This is going to be 230 and 0. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to do 0.10 times 100, okay? And then I'm going to add that to 230. What's 0.10 times 100? Right, Jen, I heard you say it? 10, right? So 10 plus 230 is going to be 240. And this is the beauty of slope, although not everyone thinks slope is beautiful like I do. I'll do the 201 and hopefully we'll get the pattern. 0.10 times 200. Jenna, can you tell me what 0.10 times 200 is, please? 20. Okay. So what does it look like the pattern is that we're going up by each time here? We're going up by 10 each time. So I can just go 230, 240, 250, 260, 270, you know, again and again and again, okay? Now, again, this is the idea when you're counting by hundreds, you can get nice numbers to go off by. I could have done this by 1, except I'm going up by 0.10 each time, right, which is very difficult. Using that same idea, what are we going up by each time for the C? Going up by 22 each time. So I'm going to start here at 150. Excuse me. 172, 194. Oh boy. What is that? 216? Is that right? 238? Someone confirm those? I'm getting that in my head. Okay, so what I just did there, I just added by 22 each time. That's what I did. Okay. So I get these on the graph. If you take a look, I'm still not close. I'm getting closer. Alistair gave away the answer. She said the answer was like 650 or 700 around there. So what I'll do when I do my graph, I'll make sure I get to 1,000 probably to make sure that it goes well. Okay, so I'll start at 0, I'll count by 100s, and then I'll get to 1,000. For Alistair, I did a different way. I said to count by 500s, but I'm just going to start with 100s for right now. Okay, 500s work nice for our points, I think, for this. Do we see the logic what happened here? Because this is relatively important. Please ask if you're brave. If you're not sure where these numbers came from, please ask. You're not the only one I guarantee. Okay, because again, lots of people came at lunch yesterday said they had no idea where the graph came from yesterday. Go ahead.
Okay, so we started at 230.
Yeah.
It was the y-intercept.
Good.
And then you times 0.10 by 100.
Right, because these are just going to be our x values, right? So this is just the equation here, right? So I just subbed in 100 for x, 200 for x, 300 for x, 400 for x all the way through.
For my x-axis, I was going up by 0.10.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? If you go over, then you'll never come close, and you would end up with a graph like Lexi and others in the class, right, where your intersection came nowhere close, right, to where what happened there. And this is why I said that was one of the difficulties when we actually made the list of difficulties with graphing. And for this one, that's far and away the most difficult part is finding a proper scale, okay? All right, I'm going to graph this up here and find an answer, okay, and then we're going to keep going there. Are we, everyone else, are we sort of okay where this is coming from? Okay, like this is like a difficult graph. This is probably the most difficult linear graph I've ever seen. And I'm not exaggerating either, right? Like this is awful to graph. Why did I say that? That should be positive. This is a beautiful, wonderful, tremendous graph. I can't fake it. It's not. It's a myth, right? Okay, so here's the graph. All right, so I'm going to set this up as. Oh, sorry. I'm going to set this up as an L graph because we're not going to have any values here. I said I probably want to get to 1,000. So this is my kilometers. Kilometers it was? Okay. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
On test, could we just write like kilometers times 100 and just write like 150?
Yeah, I'm sure I would have no problem with that. It is sort of hard to see, right? And then there's going to be x. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to just put a little squiggly like this. Right? Actually, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put one more point over here just to make sure, and add by 500 at least. We can see how this comes out. 500 goes to 280, and then 500 goes to 260. Okay. The reason I want to go to 280 and 260 is that, and I was trying to tell Alistair this yesterday, sort of keep bringing up Alistair, okay? We had a decent conversation about this at lunch there. 280 and 260 are nice numbers, right? The numbers are probably going to appear on my y-axis very nicely. A number like 172, I'm not going to get an accurate point, right? Or 194, I'm just going to say it's between 2 points. 260 is going to work beautifully for me. I'm also going to put this, I forgot to look up what this is called, but I'm going to put this little squiggly symbol on here. What should be my lowest value for y, if you had to guess? Go ahead, Jenna.
150.
150, okay. So I'm going to count, I'm probably going to have to get up to, I'm going to say probably about, looking at my table, there are probably 350 or 400 I want to get up to. Okay, so I'm going to start at 150. I'm going to call this y. I'm probably going to count my 20s. We'll see how this goes. Now again, you can make your scale whatever you want, but it's mine's going to go up to here a little bit over 500, it looks like. So I'm just going to hope this point actually fits on my number. Okay, so let's start with the letter E and then we'll move on to letter C here. What are the key points? What are the key points I should graph for letter E? You can graph every point if you want to. I'm not going to though. Go ahead. 230 and 280 makes sense to me. Okay. So I'm going to start with 0 and 230, which is here. That's going to be E. It's going to be red. And then we're going to go over to 500, which is the red line, and 280. Now you can do every point in between if you want to. Why does it not matter? Why do you not have to do every point on a linear graph? Why do you not have to do every point on a straight line? It's a straight line, right? If I do like this individual point or point from here to here, all the middle points are going to be in the middle of that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hopefully connect the dots here, and hopefully we'll look good. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Now, if you're sitting at the front or the side or the back and you're confused right now, please be brave and ask a question, okay? Because, yeah, just do it, okay? If something's not clear about this, because you may have to reproduce this in the future, something like this, okay? For C, then I'm going to start similar than Bailey. What 2 points am I probably going to graph here? Okay, go ahead, Calvin. Yeah, exactly, okay. 260 fits on here beautifully. If you try to do 172, it's very hard to get, okay? So if I do this one in blue, 150 starts there, that's 0. And then X is 500, and y is going to be 260 down here. Okay, looking at my graph, are those going to cross? They totally are, right? Right, and I'm glad that Alistair sort of gave us the hint they were going to be in the 600s, okay, right? But if you're doing your chart like that, you want to find nice values for your graph. Right? So I'm going to hopefully plot the points here, and that'll be C, and then we'll hopefully estimate what this is. That's beautiful. Oh, isn't that a beautiful graph? So we'll replace that. I'll call that blue. I'll call that C. Where's your graph? All right. Now this is the tricky part here right now. What's the approximate point of intersection there does it look like? Derek, go ahead.
660, comma 195.
195? 295, you mean, but yeah.
295.
Yeah. So this looks like, if you take a look, 650, and my graph's pretty good here. 650 is that blue line, so a little bit to the right of that. So this would be the point of intersection, so POI should be approximately 660 for X, and maybe 295. It's approximate. Now, what does that actually mean in this case of this question? No, go ahead.
660 kilometers goes to the continent.
295? 295.
Oh.
Right. The idea is you should take whatever easy band, if you're doing more than 600 kilometers, you should take whatever this other one was called, if it's less than $295. Now I want you, one second, sorry, let me do my spiel and then I'll do okay. I want you to remember this, what we did today on the 2 warm-ups, because very soon we're just going right to algebra, there'll be no more graphs. And we're always coming back to remember this is the point of intersection, this is where lines cross and all that stuff. We'll be doing it with X and Y instead of paper and pencil like that. Start with that. Sort of.
How do you know,
We're good? Okay, good question. Basically, I times it by 100, the 2, 3, 4, 5. What I did was I chose the point 500 over here because my Y values were actually nice. Like 260 is a nice number because 260 I can sort of get on my Y graph quite nicely, okay? If I were to do 100 and 172, that's about 172, but it's very hard to see, you know what I mean, exactly. If you're choosing this point, if I go wrong this way, that's going to make a huge difference, you know what I mean, based on that. So if you pick a point relatively far away, it's a lot easier to get an accurate sort of line there, okay? So we just kept counting. At 500, 260 gave us a nice value, okay, for that. So, so yeah, that's what we used there, okay? As I won't do too many that are messy like this, right? Like I'll probably give you one on your assignment because I'm cruel, okay, right? But on your test, you're probably getting something more like this because I don't want you to spend hours and hours working on your graph. You get something more like this on your test to do, okay? All right, any other questions here before we keep going? No, I'm going to get you to remind me. I'm going to leave it. I want to keep teaching right now. Can you remind me, because I'll probably put one of those in your assignment, that triangle thing. Can you remind me for the review day? Maybe? I don't know where to put it. Put it somewhere big on your notes, and I'll pick up that question on the review day. Because basically the question that Noah was asking, there's a question last night's homework number 14, where you had to find, they gave you 3 lines, and you want to find the area of a triangle. So what you have to do is the point of intersection, like this. I'm hoping that one of them ended up being a right angle. So if it's a right angle triangle, that would be the base, that would be your height. But we'll talk about that. I'll deal with this one here before the test. So I want to actually get going now. Okay, so what you guys can do is talk amongst yourselves for a sec. I will stop recording this.